Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on KTK Plus. Today, I am with Texas Department of Public Safety Sergeant Adam Albritton. Adam, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. And now I want to talk about Halloween safety. So, since Halloween is coming up very fast and everyone is getting excited about the plans they have already made for probably Halloween night and the day after, so I brought you here today to talk about practices that people can follow to both keep safe, to both keep themselves and other people safe this holiday season. So, let's talk about an interaction between trick-or-treaters and people who are passing out candy. What are some of the dangers of that people face whenever they are trick-or-treating?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bunch of dangers actually that you can come in contact with, when trick or treating. We want to, make sure that the kids are safe, number one, first and foremost. And how we can do that is before we go out, we make sure we have a plan. We plan out our route, which neighborhoods we're going to go to. Maybe it's neighborhoods that we know the individuals that live in those houses. Maybe, it's neighborhoods that we're familiar with and the kids are familiar with. It's routes that they've been on. We want to try to make sure that that's done beforehand. The other thing I'd like to do and give tips for parents is making sure that they have a safety plan in place before they go trick or treating. So if we do get separated from our group or from our parents, that we have a safe meeting place. For instance, if you're out in a neighborhood and you get separated from your group, maybe it's the car that you meet back at. And that's kind of our if we get separated from the kids, we know we meet at the car, they're going to meet back at the car with us.
So, and for those who are old enough to go trick-or-treating on their own, how can they stay safe when walking around neighborhoods where there's a lot of foot traffic and especially a lot of vehicle traffic?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of crosswalks that we want to use, but we understand that some roads and neighborhoods don't have crosswalks or they don't have sidewalks to utilize. When those are in place, we want to use those, but we do want to make sure we have an adult with us. So if we're a kid, we want to make sure we have an adult. Maybe it's an older brother, or maybe it's grandma and grandpa with them, but have some sort of adult figure and adult supervision with them and to help make sure everybody can see them and also wearing bright clothing. I know that some of them may be in costumes, it may be darker, but there's ways to illuminate that using glow bracelets or glow sticks. Bringing a flashlight with you, especially when it becomes dark, be a good thing to have.
All right, and then does DPS see an increase in pedestrian-involved accidents during Halloween, especially with children walking around, maybe those who are first-timers going trick-or-treating on their own? Do you guys see kind of a jump in those accidents?
Yeah, pedestrian crashes can happen at any time of the year, but especially when we have a lot of foot traffic during the Halloween trick or treating season, we do have a lot of those crashes where people are in big groups and accidents happen that way. We want to, as drivers, be cautious of the extra pedestrian foot traffic on the roadways.
All right, and one last topic about trick-or-treating just in general. I just want to ask, what candy should, trick-or-treaters not accept from strangers? Should they only accept one kind of candy or one kind of treat, or what do you think?
Yeah, when I talk about trick or treating with the kids, we talk about stranger awareness and being aware of taking candy from strangers and how that can be kind of confusing. But we want to make sure that our parents or an adult that can check that candy, and if there's any open packages or any open wrappers, we want to deem that not safe. So even though it's maybe your favorite candy in the entire world, if it's open, we want to throw that out just to be safe. We also don't want to take any homemade items such as cupcakes or cookies due to food allergies. You never know what's in those, or if you're allergic to something like that. We don't want to take those from strangers as well.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. I know that there's a lot of people who are, just a little trusting and stuff like that. So it's good for you to kind of explain how sometimes, just taking random candy might not be the best option. And now that we've covered how children can stay safe on Halloween, let's move over to the adults now, because we know that adults love to celebrate Halloween just as much as the kids. And with several events going on across East Texas cities like parties, haunted houses, and other things, what can adults celebrating do to keep themselves and others safe on Halloween night?
Sure. Just as making a plan to take the kids to be safe trick or treating, you want to have a plan for yourself. If you do go out to a Halloween party or some other party that you may be drinking alcohol or anything like that, you want to plan in advance. Having a designated driver to get you home, or utilizing a ride share, Uber or Lyft or something like that, or taking a taxi. If you are going to, celebrate the Halloween season drinking alcohol, we want to do it in a safe manner.
Now, I like how you bring up drinking responsibly and drinking safely. What are some of the signs that you may be too drunk to drive your own vehicle? I know that some people might not have like really ever done that. So, what is some good signs to just say, "Hey, I might be too drunk to drive"?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. Each person can know their own limits, and if you've been drinking for any period of time, you kind of know your own limits and know when you've had too much. The best case scenario is if you've had more than a couple in a short amount of time, it's probably best just to have someone else drive.
And what should someone do if they see someone who is visibly drunk driving, maybe swerving in the road or just not obeying traffic laws? What should they do in that situation?
Yeah, of course, that would be an emergency situation. We would urge everyone to dial 911 in that situation. We would try to get law enforcement to stop that vehicle to prevent any harm to any other motorists.
Do you have any like drunk driving statistics for Halloween? Do we see any spikes, any decreases, or what are we looking at?
Halloween season is not so much a high DWI rather than, like New Year's or, 4th of July. Some
Right.
of those are kind of a little bit higher than Halloween, but, in still cases, we want to be safe regardless.
And with this year's Halloween being on Friday, that means this weekend could be one of the busiest weekends of the year, potentially, as far as holiday seasons go. So, with a lot of people outside for, let's say, sporting events or visiting entertainment complexes or other activities, how does DPS actually prepare for the potential accidents that could occur this weekend?
Yeah, it's a good point. Friday we're going to have Friday night lights and the football teams playing on Friday. In addition to the trick or treaters that may be out during the Halloween season, so we want to urge drivers to use extra special care out on the roadways, especially this Friday. And but that's not any different than any other day. We want to be safe every single day, but especially this Friday.
Do you have anything else that you would like to say to people watching this interview or just East Texans in general about how to stay safe on Halloween and what practices they could follow in order to just keep themselves, pedestrians, and everybody else involved safe?
Yeah, with the uptick in the foot traffic and the vehicular traffic on the roadways due to the football games and the trick or treating events. Maybe it's another local event that you're attending. Maybe you don't participate in Halloween, but you want to go to a church event that's handing out candy in a safe alternative manner that's maybe a little bit better in a supervised manner. That's something you can also do. Trick or treating and Halloween is an optional thing, and not all people participate in that. So only going to well lit houses and neighborhoods that are well lit and visible to drivers is a good tip to do. Also know that the troopers and the Department of Public Safety troopers are going to be out on the roadways this Friday and looking for impaired drivers and things of that nature to keep everyone safe.
Well, I guess my final question has to be: are you working on holiday night, on Halloween night? Because I know I'll be working over here at KTK. Do they have you on shift?
I'll be out and I'll probably be looking at the guys that are actually working. I probably won't be out patrolling.
Okay, yeah, because you're the sergeant, right? So you oversee those operations and everything like that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and we'll definitely highlight the good things that the guys are doing out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for coming on the show at
Thank
KTK
you for
Plus. I
having
really
me.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.